Once you received your invitation, some of you saw that we were meeting the author. I would like you to meet the author of the Savanoy series. The Savanoy series, well, I'll let her tell you about it. Okay? Her name is Nathalie Taghaboni. Her company is called Commerce University. I should take off Commerce University. And let me tell all you, on Facebook, she's Queen Makome. So let me introduce you to Miss Nathalie Taghaboni, also known as Queen Makome. Because all you know, I could hardly wait to look in this book. I'm going to put on my glasses for this.
Very good, very good. You're going to need your glasses and your pacemaker and
oh my God. Okay.
Box of tissues.
Oh no, no tissue. Well, okay. All right.
Good evening.
So, Odie, go ahead. Oh, so hello, Nathalie.
Hello.
Good evening to you.
Good evening,
and
Janice.
welcome to the third Tuesday.
It's my pleasure to be here.
I am so happy and pleased that you agreed to bless me by releasing your book in New York, your third book in New York. Now, I mentioned earlier about what you were doing, but please tell our audience who you are, why you decided to write these books, what the books are about, and I think they might want to hear a little bit from some of the books.
I think the reason I wrote these is because I'm a book lover. I've been reading ever since I could figure out the alphabet. I think what drove me to do this is going into Barnes and Nobles and Chapters and going into the bookstores and not seeing me, not seeing Caribbean work, not seeing Caribbean authors. I got tired of heroines and heroes who didn't reflect anything that I knew about. Nobody had a Rasta. Nobody had a Caribbean accent. So I decided I was going to write a book that I would want to read and I can see myself in.
Right.
I decided to keep the books real. In life, very few of us get to ride off into the sunset. So I decided that we're going to make my characters as full of flaws as anybody I've ever met.
Right.
I want them, basically I want to read it when they've done with one of these books. But I know these people. And that's been the reaction I've got to each and every one of these books so far.
So tell us, let's see, the first book is?
Across from La Perouse. I'm a Trinidadian. And these books are very, very Trinidadian.
Yes, they are.
But I think almost all the Caribbean people can relate to something or someone in here. If you have a sense of humor and a pulse, you'll be able to relate to somebody in here. All the titles of all the books are reflective of my Trinidadian roots.
Okay.
La Perouse being a central cemetery in Trinidad, in Port of Spain. But all the action takes place outside of it.
Okay.
So it's like a pivotal point. From there, everything happens. And then the second one.
And then you want me to hold?
Sure.
So this is Across from La Perouse.
Correct.
Do you guys want to hear anything from Across from La Perouse?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
Speak up.
And yes, everybody wants to hear you, so not just
up.
the mic.
All right. I'm going to speak up. And it just so happened the book opened up. All right, here we go. I love this. It was 3 o'clock on Juve morning. Geneva had not slept since 5 the previous morning. But there was no way she was going to miss this. Juve was the time when Carnival started in earnest. It was a time when the country pulsated with one beat as the rebellious incarnations of its past met the joyous abandon of its present. Trinidad and Tobago was home to a roiling mass of contradictions. Its people were hedonistic and religious, superstitious and bold, irreverent and strict, lustful and pious. And at Juve, everything collided. For the past several weeks, as they came to collect their costumes, the masqueraders of Sacrosanct were each given a separate package. In it was a thin, long black veil and an invitation to don it and meet at Adam Smith Square on Arapita Avenue at 3 o'clock Juve morning. Almost without exception, they turned up. Black, ghostly forms came through the streets of Port of Spain in every possible conveyance, most on foot, to converge at the square. There they were given a short, curved horn and simple instructions. By 4 o'clock, thousands of black shapes began moving along Arapita Avenue, accompanied by drummers as they headed towards La Perouse Cemetery. An hour later, the Juve band of the Savanoy Carnival group began circling the cemetery. People heading to other places with other things on their mind were drawn by the spectacle. Word traveled quickly, and soon throngs of spectators were gathered. They hurried up through the streets to stand on the sidewalks. Some gaped over their fences and verandas as the black veiled figures surrounded the cemetery. At 6 a.m., the band members stopped their circumnavigation and drew out their horns. The drumming and whistling stopped. On Tragrate Road, sitting on top of one of the cabs of the music truck, the king of Sacrosanct stood up on his hind legs and lifted a large horn. As he blew the horn, all the veiled figures blew theirs. The sound rent the early morning in Port of Spain, and the gates of the cemetery opened. Out spilled Boko Jumbis, Jab Jab, Midnight Robbers, Jack-o'-lantern, Mud People, Blue Devils, leaping and screeching into the crowd.
That's a whole picture of Juve morning right there.
You can see it.
All right, so this is across from La Perouse. And I know there are other quite tasty parts, but...
Tasty? Yeah, let's go with that.
But we have the next book.
Moving right along.
That's called Sans Humanité, which of course means sans humanité.
Correct.
Without mercy. Tell us about that one.
The very color of the book tells you that this book gets a little darker. This one is not a sequel so much as an explanation of what went on. Because in book one, you get to meet the family lightly. You met this person and that person and so on. But in book two, you get to understand why some people were the way they were. So it ran alongside book one, which is an interesting way of doing the next book in a trilogy.
Because I have to agree with you. After reading Across from La Perouse, you met the people, you saw the story going on, but you had no idea why some people were doing what they were doing. And then you read Sans Humanité and it gives you like the background. So it's sort of like a movie, right? Where you see what's going on and then they give you the flashback.
Right.
Right? So Sans Humanité is the flashback.
Correct.
And the way Sans Humanité ends, you want to kill the author, but you have to wait because you don't want you to dead because you want to see what coming next, right? And I think also I heard you mention several times that it's about the Caribbean experience, but I think anybody reading these books with an imagination would be able to experience the carnival, so they don't necessarily have to be from the Caribbean.
Absolutely. I think what I try to do, I mean, a Caribbean person will understand what's going on. They can see it, they can feel it, they can hear it. But a non-Caribbean person, I wanted to draw them into. I want them to get curious. I wanted to plant that bug in their ear and say, oh, wait a minute. I had people who had never even heard of Port of Spain, much less, I mean, you say carnival, oh, you mean Rio? No, I don't mean Rio. I mean Trinidad and Tobago Carnival. Oh, you mean Caribana? No, it's a whole different ball game. People have said they have gone onto YouTube and actually looked up Trinidad and Tobago Carnival to see if I was lying about the dimensions of some of the costumes that the kings and queens carry.
Right.
People think of Rio, you know, like 5 feathers and a monokini. and that's Carnival. But in Trinidad and Tobago, it's a whole other
thing.
ball game.
Okay, so this is Santimanite.
Santimanite. Oh Lord, please don't let me open up onto that page.
Give us a good one. If she opens on that page, I want to read it. Let me see. I want to read.
He set the alarm for 5, but I had not really slept. At 4 o'clock, he gave up trying and rose, took a shower, and began to dress. He had moved into Remy's room while he was away at university and had been in the house more, keeping an eye on Geneva. The past few days, he had also been at Helen's, talking, helping her to arrange for her time away. He was sitting on the bed with a chin on his chest, the despondency suffocating him, when he heard a soft knock. Geneva stood there in her pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Daddy? What are you doing up, Geneva? Oh, I love the way my voice deepened. I tell you, that's a whole other story there. I heard your shower, just wanted to see if you were all right. He stared at his daughter. Almost overnight, she had grown a foot taller. She was skinny as a straw, but lovely. A wild tangle of hair stood on the end of her head. I'm fine. He knew he sounded cold. Go back to bed. You have school in the morning. He watched her walk back across the hall to her room. I want to love her. I do love her. He clenched his fist. God help me. He finished dressing and picked up his keys.
Give me the book.
Don't you dare. Oh, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not going to look for anything, are you?
No.
Okay. Because there are a few sermons in that book that you really don't want to read outside of school.
Gloria is his legal wife, yes. But she treated him with so much disrespect that she done have him in scandal. That's my brother, Helene. He don't deserve what he getting. He's a good fella. He better than me because I would have killed that woman the day after the wedding. When he with you, he calm, he's smiling, he human. Kenneth did not look away, but his voice softened. It's not only you who lose the baby, he lose her too. My brother and me don't make joke with we children. The two of you all need to deal with that grief before it eats you from inside out. All this business about being strong and silent is a sack of horse shit. When I'm not feeling right, it's my woman I want to be under, even if it's she who I vex with. Go home and see him and talk. Stop tripsing about the place like a vagrant. You have a home. Go to it. Helene nodded, turning to stare at the water. I miss him like crazy. It all over your face, Helene. You look like you lost your bank book. Go home before I call immigration. She started laughing again. Oh my goodness, you are incorrigible. Kenneth grinned. You only hate me because I'm right. Samantha came strolling up right on time and Kenneth gathered both women in his arms. Sorry to force you into one of his lectures, but this man knows how to get his way. He sure does, Helene smiled at Samantha. You're a lucky girl. Yes, she is, Kenneth interrupted. I keep telling her so, but she wouldn't listen. She keeps saying she wants to trade me in for a new stove. This wasn't the part that I was looking for. What page? I should have known it was 69.
I did not even plan that. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Where is everyone? I promised you a private tour. We are alone. She stumbled a little and his arm tightened on hers. The walkway was unlit, but a few lights were on in the building. The dogs took up duty, moving slightly or silently along the perimeter of the property. He led her into a long, narrow room. On the walls were drawings and photographs of costumes. Next to each drawing was a mannequin wearing the costume.
No, no, that was nice. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll skip a paragraph.
Yeah.
The
yeah.
next room housed the sewing and assembly of the masquerade costumes. We have two sites, he explained. The main one is on Carlos Street, where the Queen, two large individuals, and most of the mask costumes are built and sewn. This site is for the King and for the section of masqueraders with which the King is presented. The room had a bank of sewing machines along one wall and workbenches facing them. This building would normally be crowded tonight, but earlier this week I had them remove the costumes to the main site. Members will collect them there. Only the King remains here tonight. He turned to her. Would you care to see him? Helene nodded. The sandalwood scent was more pronounced in this room. Come. They walked to the back of the room to another door. As he opened it, she inhaled the sandalwood. It was divine. She realized they were now in the dome. It was a huge area, dimly lit. His immense costume dominated the space. It was in three main pieces: the headdress, the skirt, and the body portion. He led her to the headdress, which sat on a large circular workbench. She peeked around for whatever was making the scent come alive. I'm skipping a paragraph.
Wow. You're just jumping right in
Okay,
there.
I'll wait. Helene let go of his arm and walked around the area. How on earth will he carry all of this? The body portion sat on the ground on wide swaths of plastic sheets. It towered over her, and she guessed the skirt or bottom piece of the costume to be at least 25 feet or 30 feet wide, and perhaps 20 feet deep. It was taller than her 5 feet. Everything was black with strips of gold laced into it, and it all shimmered in the few lights that were on. She smoothed her hand over the harness of the massive creation.
You skip him another
I'll skip
paragraph.
in some more paragraphs.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. He stood close, his hands clasped behind his back. She looked up at him. In the dim light, he looked unreal. His shaven head gleamed. The white shirt shone. His tan Bermuda shorts seemed to glow. She swallowed and took a step back. Her eyes never left his face as she moved the straps off her shoulders. The dress fell in a heap at her feet. All of it, he whispered. She was wearing a strapless bra and reached behind her to unclasp it. She drew down the panties and it fell too, at her feet. She felt the night air coming in from the top of the dome. It teased her and every hair on her body stood on end. His eyes roamed over her before he pulled his shirt over his head and draped it over the arm of the costume's harness. He opened the top button and unzipped his pants, removing it.
And she skips another paragraph.
No. His black briefs hid what she was looking for, but the outline of what was there made her inhale sharply. He drew the underwear off. Please kneel. His voice was soft. If he had told her to jump off a cliff at that moment, she probably would have done it. Then on her way down, wonder why. She was in for whatever he had planned. I'll stop for now.
I don't know who wrote that part.
Side by side we stand.
Yeah. Side by side we stand. I thought that was, each of the titles is a story by themselves. I take a long time to come up with my titles. I don't just name it ABC. In keeping with the Trinidadian motif, I think Trinis will get more out of this than anyone. There are layers upon layers in each book. This one has so many layers to it, and some of the references and turn of phrases, it's an aha that is what she meant. That's going to explain everything that went before in this book.
Okay.
My disclaimer, this is not a fairy tale. These books are real. They're as real as you can possibly get for fiction work. It's going to make you cry. It's going to make you angry, probably with me. It's going to make you understand, because Geneva is now back as the main character with a hefty dose of Kenneth. Kenneth, I think, each of the characters, and I think this is what happened to me. I did not write this book with a plan. I sat down and I was given the story to write. That's how I viewed it. I was just a scribe. It just came to me in the middle of the night, in the middle of work, in the middle of driving. I got to get that part in and write it. Sometimes I want it to go a certain way, but my muses or whomever is giving me these stories wants me to go in another direction. And the ending of Saint Humanité was not what I had planned. It was going to be nice and sweet and everybody, oh, but no, I actually went back the week before it went to print and changed the entire ending because that's the way it was given to me. And I picked up where Saint Humanité leaves off. This is an actual sequel and end of the story.
Okay. Should I look again or what?
I'm going to read a piece.
All right.
So, without giving away what's going to happen. Arnim, everybody remembers Arnim, I hope all the readers. Arnim and Kenneth walked along Arapita Avenue from the main camp. Both their cars were parked in the driveway on Alfredo Street. It was well after midnight and they moved slowly, feeling the effects of sore backs and aching feet. Arnim flexed his hands. They were scratched where the costumes had prodded him while the two of the crew were putting away the costumes after everyone was left. Kenneth had sent Samantha home to San Fernando hours before, having secured her a ride with an old friend. His daughters and their family had gone to Maraval. Geneva, Vijay, and their children had left Tobago earlier that night. Kenneth unlocked the gate, and Arnim helped him push them open. Boy, I tired like ass, yes? I only hope I drive with my eye open and don't go and bounce down the People Lighthouse. Kenneth's weary voice reached an equally weary Arnim. I'm glad Sammy gone home early. She was real tired. She's more Trini than me. This is the first time I was in Carnival. You lie. No, boy. First time in truth. I see it many times, especially when we used to live in Belmont. Vijay and I used to come out and watch the bands pass, but my wife don't like it at all, so we used to start to go up in a country to get away from the bacchanal. Kenneth was silent for a moment as he fumbled with the key. He entered and clicked on the lights. You want one for the road? I don't drink. Oh God, man, you're killing me here. You're a 7 days Hindu or what? Arnim laughed out loud. Kavita don't like alcohol in the house. Before I got married, I used to have a few, but it's been years now. Kenneth nodded as he opened the fridge, taking out a beer for himself and a soft drink for Arnim. Well, I haven't one to wash that Savannah dust out my gullet. He pulled up a chair to the table and clinked the glasses. So, the madam don't like mass, and she don't like drinking, eh? Arnim shook his head. And she don't like my niece either. Arnim sighed. It's not that she doesn't like her, eh? Well, what would you call it? False pride. She would let false pride get in between her and her family. She would stop seeing her own grandchildren because of false pride. Kenneth took another sip of his beer. Kavita not easy, you know. I don't know her at all. I see her, twice in Toronto when you all come up and we bounce up by Geneva. I don't think Remy was even born yet. Then once in the hospital. Compare that to how much times I see you over the carnival season. You was neck and neck with the family and keep an eye on things. I know Jen appreciate that because she don't let any and everybody watch her children. Those boys are too precious. I don't want to miss them at all. That is how a grandparent does sound. Boy, if you see me and mines. It's only now me and Sammy living so far that we only see them on holidays. But they're coming back to spend whole August by us and we're going up often. We're always on the phone with them. I don't want them to grow an inch without telling me. I don't want them to pass a test without telling me. So when you say false pride, I get confused. You don't have nothing with false pride with children. I would lick a canal to make sure mine's close to me. Your madam don't like Geneva, plain and simple, which is fine. You don't have to like everybody. But to let them three grow without knowing them is a horse of a different color. In tutus, they're going to be big men and strangers. Arnhem nodded, but didn't reply. He finished his soft drink and beckoned for Kenneth to pour some of the beer into his bottle. The men clinked the bottles again, draining them. They rose, chatting about the day's activity while they closed up the house. That's all I'm giving.
Thank you. Side by side we stand.
Islands of the Blue Caribbean Sea.
Yeah, yeah. That's from the national anthem of Trinidad and Tobago. And, okay, so I know that I can hardly wait to look in this book.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
It's a zinger.
Definitely, at least from the end of the last book where my heart was almost broken and I was in tears.
But in life, Janice,
Yes.
In life.
Nathalie.
some things happen that you would prefer did not happen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right.
All right. Okay. So, all right. So we've got this. Where else are you going after today?
Oh my gosh. This whole week belongs to New York. After this, we are going to Harlem,
Right.
to Sisters Uptown Bookstore. We're going to spend some time there. The whole new African American audience, which is always interesting for me, being a Caribbean woman, to be amongst African Americans. And the reaction I get is they see me, I look the same, but I sound so different, and
Right.
I'm coming from a whole other set of experiences.
Right.
I just love seeing the way their eyes open up. Oh, I heard about that.
Right.
Yeah, you did.
Right.
And here it is in living color. On Wednesday, that's happening. On Thursday, we're in New Rochelle at Alvin and Friends Restaurant.
Okay.
We're gonna have some fun out there. There's some book groups that are out in that area that are actually gonna be coming in and hanging with us. And then on Friday, it's gonna be at Leia Wine Bar in Manhattan. I'm not gonna be doing any reading and so on. I'm having the books there. I'm gonna be liming.
All right.
Liming.
Famous Trini pastime.
Liming, yes. Hanging out. If you want your book signed, I'm there. But I am there to really meet and chat with people.
Lovely, lovely. And I think I understand you're working on something else. That's something
All my
Lacey
business.
exposed.
All my business is outside.
Yes.
I'm doing something that's interesting. I started writing a story on Facebook. Right out there, as it comes to me, it's there. So readers are seeing it as I see it. So at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, when it comes to me, I'm writing. I don't want to call it a ghost story. It's not a ghost story. It is our dark nights. Folklore, yes. Our Laja Bless, our Sukuyan, our Duens, and all of this is going to come out in this new story. It's called Dark Night and Lace.
Okay.
The cover of it is already in my head. I actually took a picture of the full moon several months ago, and that's going to be the cover of the book. I can see it in my head. But as it comes to me, I'm writing it, and I'm going to make this real, just like the other books are real. We hear about Laja Bless and Duens and all Sukanya, and we think, oh, that's a fairy tale. I'm going to put them in the middle of us. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to put them right there.
Okay, so that is akin to, in American folklore,
Yes.
the werewolf
Yes.
and Dracula, so the bloodsuckers, right?
It might have an
Vampires.
accent.
Well, yes. So it's a vampire.
Right.
It's a vampire with an accent.
Yeah, the accent.
So,
Yeah, and this vampire is a Laja Bless, and it's a female, which makes it very interesting because for me, I now have to research my own roots and find out where this Laja Bless came from. And this is a side story. I hope everybody's listening to this one. Online, I met a young lady called Tracy Sankar. She's on my Facebook. I saw a clip of her on YouTube where she was dressed as the Lajabes
Oh, my.
in the Grand Savannah. I'm talking right down to the hoof and sweeping her way with a leaf. And that just opened up this story.
Right,
I've never met Tracy. I would love to meet her and sit with her and talk to her about how this character came to be. The same way I'm going to borrow some of that energy that I felt, even online, from her and put it into this story and see how real I can make this.
So when should we expect? Never mind.
Please, please. You're holding 8 years of my life right there. Please.
True.
It'll come. And the good thing about this one is that it's right out there. You can see it as it is being written, and hopefully I'll make it into an actual book.
Right.
We can pass on, but it's right there. You don't have to wait.
You know, I think that's great because today our children are losing our folklore.
Yes.
I remember when my grandfather used to tell me stories, tell my brother and I stories before we go to sleep, you know, about all kind of dwen and papabois and, you know, Lajables and Sukunya.
She was the scary one, the Lajabes.
Okay? And, you know, skin, me not know you because you put the skin, you found the Sukunya skin outside and sprinkle salt on it, right? And then she come back to put on her skin
And she can't
put it on.
You have to sprinkle rice, and she has to count every grain of rice before she can put her skin back on.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And that's like Dracula being caught in the daylight coming up.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
But this is great, so we're looking forward to hearing more from you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Nathalie.
Thank you.
Nathalie Taghaboni, the Savanoy series.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Okay.
Thanks, Janice. You and that book.
Oh my God, I can hardly wait. All right.
Enjoy it. Enjoy
Thank you. Thank you.